Meanwhile, looking at the message, Lin Yuan replied with a bright smile bloomed on Shen Yuxi's face. A smile full of hidden meaning. Just based on what Lu Man Chi Shu Yuan could do, she knew there was going to be a good show to watch this time. Combined with what she had just said, she wouldn't say it was a 90% guarantee, but it was pretty much set in stone. Thinking this, Shen Yuxi picked up the phone on her desk and called Si Qingqing outside. The instructions were extremely simple. Less than 2 seconds later, Si Qingqing pushed open the CEO's office door and walked in. Standing before the desk, she bowed slightly. "President Shen, you were looking for me?" Find a group of internet trolls in Cunin. Under the post of someone named Lu Man Chi Shu Yuan. Flame him hard for me. Brother Mu. Shen Yuxi looked into Si Qingqing's beautiful eyes, smiling brightly. Si Qingqing's intuition told her that President Shen had finally waited for this moment. Misunderstanding, she subconsciously asked, "President Shen, are you trying to teach designer Wu Mu a lesson?" Outsiders didn't know, but as her assistant, Si Qingqing knew he was the epitome of lacking self-awareness. Not only did President Shen hate him, even she found him highly repulsive. He was just relying on his dad and a bit of past connection with President Shen's father. That was the only reason President Shen reluctantly hadn't fired him. Who did he really think he was? Shen Yuxi nodded, her tone carrying a hint of ruthlessness. The number of trolls must be 5 times his fan count. Give him a lesson he'll never forget. This time she was going to end this once and for all. She had never been an innocent little white rabbit. If she was truly provoked, then no one was going to have a peaceful life. For the entire afternoon, I was busy drawing. It wasn't until people started leaving one by one that I realized it was time to get off work. I stood up and stretched. My phone suddenly buzzed. I clicked to check. It was an address sent by Shen Yuxi, along with a transfer of 10,000 yuan. I narrowed my eyes, feeling a bit suspicious. Why would she randomly give me money out of nowhere? While I was wondering, I received a cold message from Shen Yuxi. "This money is what your mom gave me to acknowledge me as her daughter-in-law. I've given you the address. Hurry up." I knew there was no such thing as a free lunch, but I really didn't expect it. It seems she really likes Shen Yuxi. If she finds out I lied to her, she'd probably be heartbroken, right? I didn't dare think about it any further. My phone rang. I pursed my lips and left the company, riding my little scooter, heading toward home. I got home just past 6 o'clock. In winter, it gets dark early. Today, I still had to hurry and bring my clothes over to Shen Yuxi's place. I was just calculating what to send and what to keep, but as soon as I opened the door, I was startled by the sight inside. In the living room, which was over 20 square meters, sat 2 massive bags. They were packed in black plastic bags, looking exactly like a pile of unwanted trash. My parents were sitting on the sofa watching TV. On the TV was the drama Feathers Fly to the Sky. The noisy family drama had completely absorbed their attention. They heard me come back, but didn't say a word. I looked at my mom in surprise. Why is there trash sitting in the middle of the living room? Saying that, I was about to go over and throw the 2 bags of trash out. Su Qifan seemed completely baffled by my question. She leaned over and glared at me. "What do you mean, trash? Those are your clothes. Didn't you want to move out and live with Xiaoxi? So, I helped you pack your things. And now I'm the one in the wrong." I did indeed say that. I just didn't expect the day of reckoning to come so quickly. It's only been 2 days. Where would I even find the time to look for a place? Looking into the black plastic bag, I saw the edge of my pajamas sticking out. I quietly let go. Mom's packing was way too half-assed. Having someone pack for you is good enough. Once you move over, you need to be careful. You have to be quick on your feet and help out. Girls are meant to be pampered. What kind of mindset is this? Are us guys not meant to be pampered? I pursed my lips. Right. You're absolutely right, Mom. Saying that, I pulled my phone out of my pocket. I sent a WeChat message to Hauzi. It seemed the only way now was to crash at Hauzi's place for a while. Hauzi was a true blue Northwesterner. After graduating, he chose to stay in Shusher. Right now, he was a gaming streamer. He made about 7,000 a month. After typing out the message, I hit send. Bro, I'm in trouble. Let me crash at your place for a couple of days. Less than 3 seconds later, I got a reply from Housey. No problem. I'm streaming tonight, so don't bother me. The key is outside the door. Just let yourself in. Whether he was living well or not aside, whenever I needed help, he always agreed immediately. I shoved my phone back into my pocket and looked toward the dining table. It was completely empty. There was nothing to eat at all. Mom, didn't you cook dinner? Cook what dinner? Go eat with Xiaoxi. You two are living together now, aren't you? You have to eat your meals together. If you eat by yourself now, what is she supposed to do? Su Qifan was a woman of experience. Women understand women. That saying wasn't wrong at all. Back then, when she and Lin Yuan's dad first got married, he kept complaining about her cooking, which pissed her off to no end. Now, she didn't want her daughter-in-law to suffer the same grievance. They absolutely had to eat together. I let out a heavy sigh. She couldn't go 3 sentences without mentioning Shen Yuxi. Is she trying to find a wife for me, or what? Seriously, are you moving out or just finding yourself a new princess to serve? If you like her that much, why don't you two just swap places? She can be our daughter, and you can go be the CEO. I shrugged, helplessly picking up my luggage from the floor. I'm leaving then. What? You want to stay for the new year? My mom looked completely impatient. Looking at her face, I could see the illusion of someone about to be set free. Stepping out the door, I stuffed my 2 large luggage bags into black plastic bags and loaded them onto my e-bike. Then, I opened the map app and entered the address Shen Yuxi gave me. Perfect. All my clothes are right here. She's always asking for clothes all day. Well, now all my clothes are here. I'll let her pick to her heart's content. When the map loaded, I couldn't help but be surprised. The houses there are insane. Even with money, you might not be able to live there, let alone buy a place. They don't rent to ordinary people at all. The vast majority of people living there are celebrities. The crazy part is they all rent their homes. They absolutely do not sell them. In short, anyone who can live there is definitely not an ordinary person. I can't believe she lives there. The ride took over 30 minutes. Halfway there, my luggage accidentally fell on the ground. One of the plastic bags even tore. Looking at the words Minshang at the residential complex gate, I sighed. I finally arrived. And just as I was about to take 2 steps inside, I was stopped by 2 security guards. Their attitude was quite polite, though. They came up and greeted me properly. Just as I was marveling at how different high-end complexes are, I heard the shorter guard say, "Sorry, our complex doesn't buy scrap. You'll have to go somewhere else." I was speechless. You've got to be kidding me. Bro, with which eye do you see me collecting scrap? These are all my clothes, not scrap. I argued. The guard peeked into my bag and continued. Sorry, we don't buy old clothes here, either. The people living here are all wealthy elites. The guards could basically remember all their faces. Plus, with this little e-bike and the 2 huge bags of old clothes on it, the guard's first reaction was that I was a junk collector. He probably thought that since the clothes in this area are quite expensive, they could be sold for a good price, which is why I came all the way here to collect them. Bro, go collect clothes somewhere else. After saying that, the guard patted me on the shoulder. It wasn't hard to see the pity in his eyes. Such a handsome young man. Why is he doing this kind of work? Even just doing casual live streams. Being an influencer is better than this job, right? He probably has a screw loose in his head. I was so confused. What the hell is up with this serious dude? Just as I was about to explain myself, a brand new black Phantom interrupted our conversation. This car was appearing in the complex for the first time. Even though the 2 guards had never seen this car before, one glance was enough for them to step aside. After all, the residents here were not people you wanted to mess with. The car window rolled down from the inside. Shen Yuxi's breathtakingly beautiful face appeared inside the car. She looked at me with an expressionless face. Get in. I'll take you home. After saying that, she looked at the 2 guards and added, He is my husband. The guards' faces went pale. Their eyes darted between me, my beat-up e-bike, the 2 trash bags of clothes, and the woman in the phantom. I could practically see the gears turning in their heads as they tried to reconcile this bizarre picture. One of them stammered an apology, his hand trembling slightly as he waved us through. As the car glided past the gates, I turned to Shen Yuxi. Husband? We've been fake dating for like 2 days. Now I'm your husband. She didn't even look at me, her eyes fixed on the road ahead. They needed to understand you belong here. Security in these complexes is intense. If you're just a friend, they'll give you trouble every single time you visit. Trust me, I've dealt with it before. I leaned back in the leather seat, the scent of her perfume mixing with the subtle aroma of the car's interior. This was a phantom, a literal phantom. I'd seen them in movies and magazines, but sitting in one felt surreal. The leather was so soft it seemed to mold around me. The ride was so smooth I could barely feel the road. This is insane, I muttered. The car wound through the complex, past perfectly manicured gardens, fountains that looked like they belonged in a palace, and houses that were more like small castles. Finally, we stopped in front of a massive villa that looked like it could house an entire village. Here we are, Shen Yuxi said, stepping out. I grabbed my bags, feeling incredibly out of place. A butler appeared out of nowhere, taking the bags from me with a practiced efficiency. Mr. Lin, welcome. I'm Chun, the housekeeper. Please, come in. I followed Shen Yuxi inside, and my jaw dropped. The entrance alone was bigger than my entire family's apartment. A grand chandelier hung from the ceiling, its crystals catching the light and scattering rainbows across the marble floor. The staircase curved elegantly, leading to what I assumed were the bedrooms. Your room is upstairs, Shen Yuxi said, removing her coat. Chen will show you. I have some work to finish. We'll talk later. She disappeared into what I guessed was her study, leaving me alone with the housekeeper. Mr. Lin, if you'll follow me, Chen said, leading me up the stairs. I was too stunned to speak. This place was like a museum, every corner filled with art that probably cost more than my entire life savings. My room turned out to be a suite the size of my family's entire apartment. It had its own bathroom with a bathtub that looked like it could fit 4 people, a walk-in closet, and a bed so big I could sleep diagonally and still not touch the edges. Chen helped me unpack, hanging up my clothes in the vast closet that was mostly empty. I'll have fresh linens brought in, and if you need anything, please don't hesitate to ask. With that, he left me alone. I sat on the edge of the bed, my mind spinning. What had I gotten myself into? My mom thought I was living with my amazing girlfriend. My colleagues thought I was a lunatic for saying the CEO was my girlfriend. And now, I was actually in her house, surrounded by wealth I couldn't even fathom. I pulled out my phone and texted Housie. Bro, I'm not coming over tonight. Things got break time equals 400 ms/complicated. Housie replied instantly. Complicated how? Did you finally get laid or something? I rolled my eyes. Something like that. I'll explain later. I put my phone down and lay back on the bed, staring at the ceiling. This was insane. Absolutely insane. The next morning, I woke up to the smell of food. I wandered downstairs to find Shen Yuxi already at the breakfast table, a laptop open in front of her, a cup of coffee in hand. She was wearing a silk robe, her hair slightly damp from a shower. She looked so break time equals 400 ms/normal. And incredibly beautiful. Good morning, I said, sitting across from her. You're up early. She didn't look up. I have a meeting at 8 a.m. The food's ready, eat up. We need to discuss your role in dealing with my parents. They're coming this weekend. I nearly choked on the orange juice I'd just poured. This weekend? As in, 2 days from now. She nodded, still focused on her laptop. My mother is relentless. After that phone call, she's determined to see if you're real. She's bringing my father with her. If we're not convincing, we're both in serious trouble. I put down my juice. Okay, so what's the plan? What do I need to know? For the first time, she looked up. Her eyes met mine, and I could see the tension in them. My parents are break time equals 400 ms complicated. My father is a businessman, like me. He's cold, calculating, and he'll test you. He'll ask about your job, your ambitions, your financial situation. My mother is more emotional, but she's also sharper than she looks. She'll be watching how we interact, looking for cracks. I nodded, taking all this in. And what do you want me to tell them? About us, I mean. Shen Yuxi leaned back in her chair, her fingers drumming on the table. We met at work. I was impressed by your design work. We started talking, and one thing led to another. You're 23, which is young, but you're talented and you have ambition. That's what matters. Wait, I said, a thought striking me. You're 28. Aren't they going to be concerned about the age difference? She gave a small, almost imperceptible smile. They'll have opinions. But if they see you're serious, and you're good to me, they'll come around. The key is making them believe this is real. And that means acting like a couple. In front of them, at all times. I gulped. Okay, acting like a couple. I can do that. She raised an eyebrow. Can you? Because last night, when I held your hand, you froze. I felt my face heat up. I was surprised. You caught me off guard. Next time, I'll be ready. She didn't look convinced, but she didn't push it. The next 2 days were a whirlwind. Shen Yuxi had me spend time with her every evening, not just to practice couple behavior, but also to brief me on her family. Her father, Shen Yuxi, was the founder of a massive conglomerate. He was tough, demanding, and had very high standards. He'd made his fortune through real estate and had been pressuring Shen Yuxi to get married for years, partly for the business connections and partly because he wanted grandchildren. Her mother, Lin Mei, was a former socialite who came from a wealthy family. She was obsessed with appearances and social standing. The fact that her daughter was unmarried at 28 was a source of deep embarrassment for her. She'd been trying to set Shen Yuxi up with eligible bachelors from other wealthy families for years, but Shen Yuxi had refused every single one. Why? I asked one evening. I mean, the guys your mom picks must be insanely rich. Don't any of them interest you? Shen Yuxi snorted. They're all entitled, arrogant, and they see me as a trophy, not a person. They want a wife who will host dinner parties and look good on their arm. I'm not interested in being an accessory. Her voice was bitter, and I could understand why. The weight of expectation was crushing. On Saturday morning, I woke up to chaos. Shen Yuxi was already in a frenzy, laying out clothes, giving instructions to the staff, and barking orders at me. You need to wear this. It's a gift I bought you. Dark blue suit, no tie, open collar. It's sophisticated, but not stuffy. I tried on the suit, and I have to say, I look pretty damn good. It fit perfectly, hugging my shoulders just right. The doorbell rang at exactly 11 a.m. Shen Yuxi took a deep breath, her hand finding mine and squeezing tightly. Remember, stay calm. Don't let them push your buttons. And whatever you do, don't contradict me in front of them. I squeezed her hand back. Don't worry. I've got this. We walked to the door together, and I felt like I was walking into a lion's den. When the door swung open, I was greeted by a tall, imposing man with graying hair and a stern expression. This was Shen Yuxi. Behind him, a petite woman in a designer dress surveyed me with sharp, appraising eyes. This was Lin Mei. Shen Yuxi's gaze swept over me, and I could feel him analyzing every detail. So, you're the one Yuxi has been hiding, he said, his voice deep and resonant. Come in, let's talk. Lin Mei followed behind him, her eyes never leaving me. I could feel the tension in the air, thick enough to cut with a knife. We sat in the living room, a sprawling space with floor-to-ceiling windows that overlooked the city. Shen Yuxi sat opposite me, crossing his legs, his posture one of complete authority. Lin Mei sat beside him, her hands folded neatly in her lap. Shen Yuxi sat next to me, her hand finding mine again, a silent gesture of solidarity. Lin Yuan, Shen Yuxi began. My daughter tells me you're a designer. A talented one. I nodded. Yes, sir. I've been working at Shen Yuxi's company for about a month now. I specialize in residential design. He raised an eyebrow. And you think you're good enough to date my daughter? A woman who is worth hundreds of millions. I kept my voice calm, measured. I don't think money is a measure of someone's worth, sir. I care about your daughter, and I want to be with her. That's what matters. Lin Mei spoke up for the first time. And what exactly do you see in her? I imagine a 23-year-old such as yourself would prefer a younger woman. I met her gaze, not flinching. I see someone who's brilliant, ambitious, and incredibly strong. She's been pressured her whole life to be something she's not, but she's refused to break. That's courage, and I admire it. Plus, I added with a slight smile, she's beautiful, but that's just a bonus. I could feel Shen Yuxi's hand tighten on mine, and I could have sworn I saw the faintest hint of a blush on her cheeks. Shen Jingyang chuckled, a dry, humorless sound. Smooth talker. But I've dealt with plenty of those. What are your plans for the future? Are you going to coast on my daughter's success, or do you have ambitions of your own? I leaned forward. I'm entering an international design competition in 2 weeks. If I win, it could put me on the map. My goal isn't to ride on anyone's coattails. I want to make a name for myself. Shen Jingyang's eyes narrowed. An international competition? Which one? I told him the name, and he nodded slowly. I've heard of it. It's no small thing. You actually have a chance. I shrugged. I wouldn't be entering if I thought I didn't. He sat back, exchanging a look with his wife. I couldn't read their expressions, but I could tell I'd at least piqued their interest. The rest of the afternoon was a delicate dance. Lin Mei grilled me about my family background, and I told her about my mom, my dad, my sister, and the chaos of our loving, if slightly overwhelming, family. I could see her expression softening slightly when I mentioned my mom's insistence on making soup for Shen Yuxi. Your mother cooks for her? She asked, surprised. Every day, I said. She's convinced Yuxi isn't eating enough. Honestly, I think she likes her more than she likes me. For the first time, a genuine smile touched Lin Mei's lips. Your mother sounds like a lovely woman. I nodded. She is. She'd love to meet you, if you'd be open to it. Lin Mei looked at Shen Yuxi, a flicker of something unreadable passing between them. Perhaps, she said, her tone softening. As the afternoon wore on, I could sense the tension easing. Shen Jingyang, though still guarded, seemed to be taking me more seriously. He asked questions about the design competition, about my process, about what I thought the future of residential design looked like. I answered every question honestly, drawing on everything I'd learned over the past few years. Finally, as the sun began to set, Shen Jingyang stood up. We'll be leaving now. Yuxi, we'd like to see you next weekend. You too, Lin Yuan. He extended his hand, and I shook it firmly. I have to say, he added, I wasn't expecting much. But your break time equals 400 ms/interesting. I'll give you that. It wasn't exactly a ringing endorsement, but I'd take it. As soon as the door closed behind them, Shen Yuxi let out a long, shaking breath. That went better than I expected. I grinned. What can I say? I'm a smooth talker. She rolled her eyes, but I could see the relief on her face. They'll be back next weekend for more intense interrogation, she warned. They're going to be watching us closely. This isn't over. I shrugged. Let them watch. We're in this together now. She looked at me, and for a moment, something unspoken flickered between us. It was a fleeting moment, there and then gone, but it left me feeling like we'd crossed some invisible line. That night, I couldn't sleep. I found myself downstairs, pacing around the vast living room, my mind racing. The competition was in 2 weeks. My career could change. My relationship with Shen Yuxi could change. Everything was hanging in the balance. I heard footsteps behind me and turned to find Shen Yuxi walking down the stairs, her hair mussed from sleep, her silk robe wrapped around her. Can't sleep either? She asked softly. I shook my head. Too much on my mind. She walked over to the floor-to-ceiling window, looking out at the city lights. I used to love this view, she said quietly. When I first moved here, I thought I'd made it. That this was the sign that I'd won. She paused. But it's just a house. It's empty. I walked up beside her. I know the feeling. Before all this, I lived in a tiny apartment. Barely enough room to breathe, but it didn't feel empty. We stood in silence for a long moment, watching the lights of the city flicker in the darkness. Lin Yuan, she finally said, her voice barely a whisper. Thank you. For today, I mean. I wasn't sure you'd be able to handle my parents. But you did. You actually did. I turned to look at her. What kind of fake boyfriend would I be if I couldn't handle a little parent pressure? She smiled, a soft, genuine smile that I'd only seen a few times. You're more than just a fake boyfriend now, aren't you? She said. We're in this together, remember? Something in her words made my chest tighten. Yeah, I said, my voice rough. We're in this together. She turned to face me, and for a moment, neither of us said a word. The air between us felt charged, electric. Then she stepped closer, and before I knew what was happening, her lips were on mine. It was a soft kiss, tentative at first, like she was testing the waters. But then it deepened, and I wrapped my arms around her, pulling her close. Her body fit against mine perfectly, and I could feel her trembling slightly in my arms. When we finally broke apart, we were both breathless. What was that? I asked, my voice a little shaky. She took a step back, her expression unreadable. I don't know, she said honestly. I just break time equals 400 ms / I needed to know. She looked at me, her beautiful eyes searching mine. Are you okay with this? I stepped forward, my hand finding hers. I'm more than okay with it, I said, my voice firm. But let's take this slow. We've got a lot going on right now. She smiled, a soft, genuine smile. Slow is good, she said. Slow is safe. But as I lay in bed that night, replaying the kiss in my mind, I knew that nothing about this was safe. Everything was spinning out of control, and I was falling headfirst into something I hadn't planned for. The next week was a blur of work and preparation. I threw myself into my designs for the competition, spending every spare moment sketching and revising. Shen Yuxi was supportive, bringing me coffee late at night, and I was proud of it. It was clean, functional, and beautiful. I'd spent hours getting every detail right. On the morning of the competition, I was a nervous wreck. My hands were shaking, and I could barely hold my coffee. Shen Yuxi sat beside me in her office, my design displayed on the screen before us. Look at me, she said, her voice calm. You've got this. This is your best work. Trust it. I took a deep breath and nodded. You're right. I've got this. She squeezed my hand, and I felt a surge of confidence. The competition results were announced that evening. I sat with Shen Yuxi in her office, my heart pounding, as we both watched the live stream. My design was in the top 5, then top 3. Then the winner was announced. First place, Lu Man Chi Shu Yuan. I shouted, jumping up from my seat. Shen Yuxi threw her arms around me, laughing. I knew it. I knew you could do it. We were both grinning like idiots, caught up in the moment. I picked her up and spun her around, her laughter echoing through the office. It was the happiest I'd felt in a long, long time. But then I remembered. Wu Mu. He'd lost. Badly. I knew he wouldn't take it well. And I was right. The next day at work, I could feel the tension the moment I walked in. Wu Mu was standing by his office door, his face dark with fury. He didn't say a word to me, but the look in his eyes was murderous. I tried to ignore it, focusing on my work, but I could feel his gaze on me constantly. It made my skin crawl. A few hours later, Si Qingqing appeared at my desk. Lin Yuan, President Shen wants to see you. I walked into Shen Yuxi's office, surprised to see her looking unusually pale. What's wrong? I asked, my heart sinking. She turned her laptop around to show me. A series of anonymous accusations had appeared on Qunan, claiming that Lu Man Chi Shu Yuan had plagiarized his designs. Screenshots were posted, comparing my work to older designs by other designers. The accusations were flimsy at best, but they were damaging. This is Wu Mu, Shen Yuxi said, her voice shaking with fury. He's trying to ruin your reputation. I stared at the screen, my mind racing. This was bad. In the world of design, accusations of plagiarism were a death sentence. Even if they were false, the stigma could follow me forever. What do I do? I asked, my voice hollow. Shen Yuxi stood up, her face set in a cold mask of determination. We fight back. I've already got my team investigating. We're going to prove your work is original, and we're going to expose him for what he is. She reached out and grabbed my hand. I won't let him destroy you, Lin Yuan. I promise. I looked at her, this incredible woman who had walked into my life and turned it upside down. Thank you, I said softly, for everything. She smiled, a warm, genuine smile that made my heart skip a beat. That's what partners are for, right? She said. I nodded, squeezing her hand. Right. Partners. We spent the next week fighting the accusations. I gathered all my sketches, notes, and drafts, proving that every design was original. Shen Yuxi used her resources to hire the best lawyers and investigators. And slowly, the tide began to turn. Evidence emerged that Wu Mu had been behind the smear campaign, and the design community turned on him. In the end, Wu Mu was fired from the company. He left with his reputation in tatters, his career hanging by a thread. I should have felt satisfied, but all I felt was a profound sense of relief. That night, Shen Yuxi and I sat in her living room, a glass of wine in each of our hands. It was over. The battle was won. I looked at her, this woman who had started as a boss and become something so much more. What are we? I asked softly. She looked at me, her eyes glittering with unshed tears. I don't know, she confessed. But I know I don't want it to be fake anymore. I want it to be real. I leaned forward and kissed her, pouring everything I felt into that single moment. When we started this, I never expected it to turn out like this, I said. She laughed, a light, joyful sound. Neither did I, but I'm so glad it did. She took my hand, her eyes shining. Let's do this for real, she said softly. Let's see where this goes. I squeezed her hand and smiled. I'd like nothing more. That night, we talked until the early hours of the morning, sharing secrets and fears, dreams and hopes. It was the most honest conversation I'd ever had with anyone. For the first time in a long time, I felt like I was exactly where I was supposed to be. The next morning, my phone buzzed with a message from my mom. Morning, son. What are your plans for today? Make sure Xiaoxi eats well. I laughed and typed back. Don't worry, Mom. I'll take care of her. We're going to be just fine. And for the first time in weeks, I believed it with all my heart. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind of change. My win at the international design competition had put me on the map in ways I never anticipated. Suddenly, I was getting interview requests, offers from other firms, and invitations to speak at design conferences. It was overwhelming, but Shen Yuxi kept me grounded. She'd been through similar experiences and knew exactly how to navigate the chaos. Don't let the attention go to your head, she warned me one evening, her eyes twinkling with amusement. Remember, you're still the guy who accidentally dragged his boss into his family group chat. I laughed, pulling her closer. How could I forget? My mom still brings it up every single day. It was true. My mother had become absolutely obsessed with Shen Yuxi. Every morning, without fail, she'd send a message to the family group chat asking about her well-being. Did she sleep well? Did she eat breakfast? Was she working too hard? It was both endearing and slightly exhausting. But Shen Yuxi took it all in stride, replying with warmth and patience that seemed to come naturally to her now. Your mother is wonderful, she told me one night as we were lying in bed. She genuinely cares about me. Not about my money, not about my status. Just me. I turned to look at her, seeing the vulnerability in her eyes. You deserve that, I said softly. You deserve people who care about you for who you are. She was quiet for a long moment. When I was growing up, she finally said, my parents were always busy. Business dinners, meetings, travel. I was raised by nannies and tutors. They loved me. I know they did. But it was always break time equals 400 ms / conditional. I had to perform, to achieve, to be perfect. If I wasn't, they'd withdraw their approval. It was exhausting.